The old house groaned around me, a familiar symphony of settling wood and whistling wind that usually lulled me to sleep. But tonight, sleep was a distant shore I couldn't seem to reach. I tossed and turned, the sheets tangling around my legs like grasping vines. It was just past midnight when the first knock came. Tap, tap, tap. It was soft, hesitant, almost polite. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. My bedroom is on the second floor. The only other person in the house was my grandmother, and she was a heavy sleeper, never waking before dawn. Besides, her room was downstairs. Who could possibly be at my door? I strained my ears, listening to the suffocating silence that followed. Nothing, just the frantic thumping of my own heart against my ribs. It must have been the house settling, I told myself. A branch tapping against the window, my mind playing tricks on me in the dead of night. I pulled the covers up to my chin, trying to dismiss it, to find that peaceful oblivion of sleep again. Then it came again. Tap, tap, tap. This time it was firmer, more insistent. A cold dread, slick and oily, began to seep into my bones. This was no branch. This was deliberate. Someone, or something, was standing right outside my bedroom door. I lay there, paralyzed, a statue carved from fear. My eyes were wide open, staring at the familiar wooden door, now a menacing barrier between me and the unknown. I thought about calling out, "Who's there?" But the words died in my throat, choked by a primal terror. What if it answered? A deeper, more terrifying thought followed. What if it didn't? What if it just kept knocking, patiently, until I couldn't take it anymore? The minutes stretched into an eternity. The silence was a living thing, heavy and watchful. I counted my heartbeats, each one a tiny drumbeat of panic. 100, 200, 300, still nothing. Maybe it was gone. Maybe I had imagined the whole thing, a waking nightmare born from an overtired mind. A sliver of relief, fragile as glass, began to form. I took a shaky breath, then another. I was just being paranoid. I slowly, carefully, began to untangle myself from the sheets, thinking maybe a glass of water would calm my nerves. That's when I heard the scratching. A low, scraping sound, like fingernails dragging slowly down the wood of the door. It was a dry, rasping noise that made the hair on my arm stand on end. It wasn't human. The sound was too sharp, too thin. It skittered from the top of the door to the bottom, a deliberate, exploratory caress. My blood ran cold. This wasn't a person. Robbers don't scratch at doors, they kick them in. Ghosts might knock, but do they scratch? This felt different. This felt predatory. It was testing the boundary, feeling for a weakness. I scrambled backwards on my bed until my back hit the cold wall of the headboard. My eyes were glued to the doorknob, a simple brass sphere that suddenly seemed like the most important object in the universe. I watched it, willing it to stay still, praying it wouldn't turn. The scratching stopped. The silence that followed was worse, filled with a dreadful anticipation. What was it doing now? Was it listening for me? Could it hear the ragged, terrified gasps I was trying so desperately to stifle? And then, the doorknob began to turn, slowly, agonizingly slowly. A faint, metallic creak echoed in the dead quiet room as the latch inside the mechanism began to retract. My mind screamed. I wanted to yell, to run, to do anything but sit here and watch this happen. But I was frozen, a spectator to my own horror movie. The latch clicked open. The door didn't swing open right away. Instead, it pushed inward, just a crack, a sliver of impenetrable darkness from the hallway appeared. I held my breath, waiting for a face to peer through, for a voice to whisper my name. But there was only silence. The door hung there, slightly ajar, an invitation into madness. For a moment, I thought maybe the wine had done it, a draft from an open window downstairs. Hope is a stubborn, foolish thing. Then, a hand slid through the crack. It wasn't a human hand. It was long, impossibly long and thin, the color of ash and old bone. The fingers were like skeletal twigs, tipped with dirty, broken nails. There was no flesh on it, just gray, stretched skin over prominent knuckles and bony joints. It moved with a jerky, unnatural grace, like a spider testing the air. The hand slithered down the edge of the door, its long fingers stroking the wood with that same awful scratching sound. It felt along the frame, tapping gently, exploring its new environment. Behind it, in the dark gap, I could see a shadow. A tall, distorted silhouette that didn't match the shape of any person I'd ever seen. It was too thin, its limbs too long, my breath hitched, a tiny, pathetic sound. The hand froze, it knew I was there, it knew I was watching. Slowly, deliberately, the fingers curled inward, forming a loose fist. Then, with a chilling deliberation, one long, bony finger extended, pointing directly at me where I sat huddled on the bed. It didn't move. It just pointed, unsilent, terrifying accusation. The shadow behind the door shifted, seeming to lean forward. I couldn't see a face, but I could feel its attention, a cold, malevolent focus that pinned me to the wall. It was studying me, observing its cornered prey. I finally found my voice, but all that came out was a strangled whimper. The sound broke the spell. The hand retracted from the doorway, disappearing back into the hallway's darkness as quickly as it had appeared. The door, pushed by some unseen force, slowly swung shut with a soft click, plunging my room back into its previous state. It was as if nothing had happened. The door was closed, the knob was still. The silence was absolute, but I knew it was still out there. It wasn't trying to get in anymore. It didn't need to. It knew it could. It was just waiting. And I knew I would never, ever be able to sleep in this room again. I'm not even sure I can ever sleep at all. Every creak of the house, every shadow in the corner of my eye, I see that long, gray hand. I feel it pointing at me from the darkness. Sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet, I can still hear it. The soft, patient scratching on the other side of the door. It's waiting for me, and one night, I know it won't be content to just scratch. Thank you for listening. If this story sent a chill down your spine, hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the dark. Stay safe, and always check who's at the door.